morning, it's Alyse here, and today I am going to talk about binge eating. I'm going to be sharing a lot of recovery tips and mindset hacks with you throughout this entire video. So I just want to share a quick trigger warning. This won't be for the whole video, but I am going to share just briefly about my experience. So trigger warning, I dealt with binge eating for years in my life when I was younger. I don't know the exact ages, but multiple years. It really consumed me. All that I would think about is food or the way that I looked in front of others and how not aligned I felt. I felt so not myself physically. And I would struggle with overeating to the point that my ribs would hurt. It would feel like they were bruised because my stomach would protrude so much and just be so full. And it was at a very dark time in my life. Along with binge eating, I was struggling with depression, anxiety, panic and anxiety attacks, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm in the form of more than just eating. And it took me a little bit of time to overcome this form of an eating disorder and this form of self-sabotage and self-loathing, but I can confidently say that I am past it. And there are still days every now and then where I eat a little bit emotionally and I'm not like super hungry, but I don't binge anymore. So I really hope this video is helpful for you and for anybody that you come in contact with who struggles with binge eating, because I know that it is very widely struggled with. So I hope that you enjoy this video. So one of the first recovery tips that I have is something that I've actually talked about in multiple other videos on my channel, but in case this is the first video ever that you're seeing or you happen to miss the others, I could not put this in because it is a fundamental part of my personal healing from and recovering from binge eating. And that is the concept of primary food versus secondary food, a concept that I learned from IIN, which is the health coaching certification program that I went through a few years ago. I'll link it down below so you can explore this more if you wanted to learn about their entire curriculum. So let's talk about what primary food is versus secondary food. I am at a stoplight right now, but the camera is secure and I'm not really gonna be looking at you guys. So anyone who would be worried about that, don't worry about it, I'm looking at the road. Secondary food is the food that we eat, the food that we consume through our mouths, and it nourishes us on a nutrient level, on a cellular level. And primary food is food that nourishes us kind of on a soul level. It nourishes us in a different way. So the primary foods that I learned about that I'm sharing with you now that have helped me immensely are exercise, so a daily exercise routine, engaging in something that you love, something that makes you feel good, not forcing yourself to do it, having a fulfilling career, something that gives you purpose in life, something that allows you to contribute to our collective and give back, not like a self-serving career, but a very fulfilling career on a worldwide level. And having meaningful relationships, connecting with people who you can trust, who you can go deep with, it's not just surface level, and also having some sort of a spiritual or religious practice, some way that you connect to what you believe to be a higher power, whether it's God, the universe, nature, or anything in between or outside of that realm. So those are primary foods, and essentially the concept is that if we are fulfilled in those areas of life, we are much less likely to turn to secondary food, the food that we eat, to fill a void. Because if we are not fulfilled in those areas, we feel like we have an immense void within us, and we try to fill that with food or other substances like alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever, shopping and whatnot. But we can never, ever fill that void with something else if the void is created from a primary food. So that is my little intro to you. And the very first thing that I am doing this morning, which is why I'm in the car, I'm at another stoplight, is I'm heading to the gym, because the gym is my happy place. It's the place for me to feel empowered, to have alone time. There's a car right behind me. Wow, that looks cool. So I'm gonna be lifting weights this morning at 7:14 a.m. and I am making sure that I'm fulfilling my primary food, one of my primary foods, right off the bat, so that I do not go into binge mode because I feel unfulfilled. So I'm gonna talk and share so many more tips with you after the gym, so I'll see you then. I want to touch on processed food and why it is so important that we eliminate or at least heavily reduce processed food from our diet. And this is not only for anyone struggling with binge eating, I feel like my camera is crooked, but for anyone in general. Processed food is not nutrient dense, it is not enhancing our vitality or well-being, and it's not contributing to our mental health either. I know this can be kind of controversial because I know as I was dealing with my binge eating, I knew some friends or acquaintances who were also dealing with recovering, and a lot of them turned to basically the free-for-all mentality, like anything is fair game, including absolute junk food. And the truth is that it's just not contributing to our well-being in any way, shape, or form, physically, mentally. When I was in the midst of binging, I was about to binge or in the middle of binge, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I shouldn't eat processed food if I want to stop binging. It was like I needed that food because that's the feeling that comes with binging, is like that craving, that undeniable, I need this right now and I can't deny it. So something that really helped me with letting go of processed food, or at least trying to move away from it and replace it with healthier things, is the concept of crowding out, which is also a concept that I learned from IIN, which again is the health coaching school that I went through, and I'm actually going through it again right now. I'll share that in the video description so you can learn more. But the concept of crowding out the processed food, crowding out the unhealthy food, crowding out the toxic food, and replacing it with whole foods, replacing it with real fresh foods that are nourishing, that are nutrient dense, and that are going to make us feel alive and really target our cells and positively impact our brain. And that was massively helpful for me, and I feel like doing that, applying that concept to my life, really helped me accelerate my recovery from binge eating. And I don't know how long it would have taken or how many circles and cycles and relapses I would have gone through if I didn't cut out the processed food. And I say cut out, but I really mean just try to opt for a healthier alternative. You can go on Pinterest and come up with your own recipes, but there's so much out there that you can be replacing the foods that rob you of your health. There's so many other options, and it's just like those little baby steps every single day, opting for the healthier alternative. I also want to highlight how important it is to really reduce the processed sugar specifically, because that is a huge one. When we eat processed sugar, our bodies naturally crave more of it. Like, it's designed to do that to the human body. And that one, above all other processed food, reducing processed sugar in my diet and replacing it with dates or fruit sugar or whatever when I was first starting out, was massively helpful. Our bodies naturally start to crave the foods that we eat. So if we're filling our body with processed food, we're gonna keep wanting that. But if we can retrain our taste buds through opting for the healthier option, our body's actually going to start to want that. I remember during my transition from binge eating to healthier intuitive eating, a lot of people would ask me, like, how do you crave kale? How do you crave greens and healthy food? And the reason is that I started to fill my body with that. And honestly, just to be totally transparent, there was a period in time where I was overeating on healthy food. But for me personally, that was a bridge from binge eating to healthy, intuitive eating. I just wanted to share that with you. We're in the car, headed to Boulder with my friend Alyse. We got Sai in the back, and what are we doing? We are doing something that I've never done before. We're both getting facials, and it's at this place called Alchemy. We're super, super excited. And I'm also gonna get a B12 shot in my butt. And I'm gonna try to convince Carly to get one too, because it feels so good. Apparently it hurts very bad though. It feels like a bee sting, and it kind of lasts a few hours. But you feel energized, like you just had caffeine and green juice and a ginger shot and like all the things. It just feels like revitalizing. So that's what we're doing right now. I also just want to share with you how important it is and how much it has helped me to really connect with friends and like-minded individuals in person, in the flesh, and just really grow your deep, meaningful relationships. For me, in the past, when I was really, really struggling with binge eating, isolating myself was like one of the worst things that I could possibly do for myself. So that's something that I try to consistently do, is actually hang out with people in person and fulfill that primary food that I was sharing with you earlier. So I just got back home from our little trip to Boulder, getting our facials, and I must say it was quite enjoyable. And yeah, as I told you guys before, I had never gotten a facial before, but my face definitely feels way smoother and like more clean. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. But I got the facial called, what was it called? The rose quartz facial, and they rubbed rose quartz on my face. It was relaxing. It was an interesting sensation. It was actually funny. I thought that like the facial material, I thought that the facial substance they were putting on my face was like infused with rose quartz, but then later on in the facial, they were rubbing the actual stones on my face. So then I realized it wasn't actually infused with it. It was more so like massaged. But I also, they put some sort of like sunscreen or something on me, like some sort of after lotion where it makes me look quite tan, so that's cool. And everything there is natural. It's a really sweet spot. I don't know if I said it's called Alchemy, but I'll put it in the video description if you want to check it out and you're in Colorado. I don't know if they have them in other places. Anyway, I'm back home eating sweet little rainbow spring rolls, and I wanted to get back to talking about binge eating and food and how transitioning from thinking I have to eat everything on my plate like I was grown up being taught, to realizing that the food is always going to be there tomorrow, has really helped me not overeat and not pack it in just because it was on the plate, just because I served myself a certain amount or a certain amount came at a restaurant. Like, I can always have leftovers, and that has been immensely helpful for me, so I wanted to share that with you. And also the concept or the practice, the ritual of expressing gratitude for the food that I eat has been such a game changer, because it's really allowed me to be more mindful and present when I'm eating and before I'm eating, thinking about, okay, I want to be consuming food that is nourishing me. I'm so grateful if this has been prepared by me or a loved one or by somebody in a store or a restaurant. I'm grateful for the whole process and where this food came from, and just thinking about all of that, the journey that this food took to get into my mouth, instead of kind of just rummaging through the fridge or feeling like I'm so hungry or I'm just craving something and I'm just gonna like eat it extremely fast without really thinking, without being conscious of what this food is and how it's actually remarkable that I am able to eat this right now. So hopefully you will incorporate that in your life if it resonates with you. It's really, really, really been so helpful for me to feel connected to the food I'm eating instead of disconnected during that process. So as I'm winding down for the night, I have kind of been reflecting on just some other things that I have changed in my lifestyle, some rituals that I've incorporated, and just behaviors in general that I've changed in my life with my food, my intake, my beverage intake. And I've realized that when I was really struggling with binging, I would always have like a nighttime snack, which would lead into a binge. And now I have a beverage that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It fulfills a bit of a sweet tooth that I have, which luckily I don't really have that much of a sweet tooth anymore because I've really cut out a lot of processed sugar like I was saying earlier today. But I just want to share this with you. Perhaps it could be something to try out in your own life. If there's a healthy beverage that you really enjoy, like kombucha or tea, or I have like these little hot cacao little guys from Four Sigmatic, just anything that is going to kind of fulfill you at the end of the night and give you a little bit of sweetness without needing all the processed sugar and junk and lead down the binge rabbit hole. So, cheers. I am finally winding down for the night. It's around 8 p.m. and I've actually been going to bed pretty early for, gosh, I don't know, the last few weeks or so, and it's been feeling really good, allowing me to get up early. And I just want to share with you one last little tip, which is, I guess, more of like a mindset hack, something that I started doing a few years ago, kind of at the point where I was just like so frustrated and so over it, so over the habits, the eating habits and mindset habits and all that I had in my life. And that is visualization. It's actually pretty crazy how common visualization is among so many incredible people in the world. I say this because I was recently at the Summit of Greatness. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's like a really great event where there's motivational speakers, and the common thread among so many of them was visualization. Everybody at their rock bottom was visualizing where they wanted to be. For me, this came in the form of visualizing my true self, not visualizing the current self that I was a few years ago, feeling heavy in my body, uncomfortable, out of control with my eating habits, but really visualizing who I knew that I was at the core and who I wanted to be in the future. That best version of myself, the most fulfilled, most aligned version of myself that I wanted to actually be and embody 100%. So I would visualize that person, and that's gonna look different for each and every one of us, because thank goodness we are all unique in our own way at the core. For me, it came in visualizing what I looked like, what I felt like, what I was doing on a day-to-day basis, what my relationship was like with food, the words that I said to myself, as I shared earlier in this video, speaking kindly to myself. The best version of me always speaks kindly to herself. And so I would get really, really, really crystal clear on who that person is. Hey, Sai, I'm just finishing up my vid. He's cray. Sai. So getting crystal clear on who that version of you is in every little detail you can possibly come up with. And it's really powerful to do at the very end of your day. At the very end of your day before you go to sleep, so you can really get those messages and those thoughts and those beliefs and those feelings into your subconscious mind and actually reprogram the way that you're thinking and the way that you're behaving. Well, it's officially the next day because I was sleepy and it was dark in my room and I just did not finish filming last night. Aw, little baby just curled up in a ball next to me. Okay, well, I want to wrap up this video, and to conclude, I just want to share with you how important it is to stay consistent with all of the things that I shared with you that resonate with you. Doesn't have to be every single thing from this video, just whatever calls your name, whatever you're like, ooh, yeah, that would help me for sure. Or just something new that you want to try, but be consistent instead of just waiting until you're like at that rock bottom type of moment, at that feeling, or have that feeling where you just kind of feel like the world is crumbling down, and then you're like, oh shit, I gotta get back on track and actually do these things. Like, don't wait till that point, because that's the whole issue. That's the whole cycle of overeating. and then doing things to compensate, and then whatever it is, under eating, or whether it's healthy things to compensate or unhealthy things. The key is to be consistent. That's where you're gonna find real transformation and real sustainable change. I so hope this video has been helpful in one way or another. And I would love to talk about this more, because for it being such a dark point in my life, for gosh, I can't even go there right now because I know this video is long, but it impacted my life so negatively for the time that I was dealing with overeating and binge eating. But yeah, I don't talk about it too much for how much it impacted me and how much I have transformed since then. So I'd love to share more. If you have any specific things you'd like to hear me talk about, whether it's more about my story or more things just like what I shared here in this video, because honestly, I was making a list of things that I wanted to share for this video, and I couldn't fit it all in this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful in one way, at least one way. And comment down below how you are doing with your eating habits, and which one of these was your favorite, which one you resonated with the hardest, and which one you know that you need to dive into and stay consistent with above all else. All right, I'll see you in the next video. I love you.